Hi everyone, welcome to the sixth lecture of company administration. Here I am dealing with the major differences between a private company and a public company.
The first difference between the private company and public company is about the minimum number of persons required to form. The minimum number of persons to form a private company is 2 and the minimum number of persons required to form a public company is 7. The next difference is about the maximum number. The maximum number of members is 200 in the case of private company, and there is no restrictions on the maximum number in the case of public company. And the next difference is about the transferability of shares. We all know that the shares of a company is considered as a movable property and it is freely transferable. But in the case of private company, the shares are not freely transferable. But in the case of public company, the shares are freely transferable. The next difference is in the case of prospectus. A prospectus is a document issued by the company inviting the public and investors for the subscription of its securities. In the case of private company, it is prohibited from issuing a prospectus, and in the case of public company, it is not prohibited from issuing a prospectus. The next difference is in the case of minimum and maximum number of directors. The minimum number of directors required to form a private company is 2 and the maximum number of directors that can be appointed is 15. And in the case of public company, the minimum number of directors required to form is 3 and the maximum number of directors that can be appointed is 15. The next difference is with regard to the certificate of commencement. In the case of private company, it is not required to obtain a certificate to commence the business. And in the case of public company, it is required to obtain a certificate to commence business from the registrar of companies. The next difference is about the special privileges. In the case of private company, they enjoy certain special privileges over public company. In the case of public company, they does not enjoy any such special privileges. The next difference is about the index of its members. In the case of private company, it is not required to keep index of its members. But in the case of public company, it is required to keep index of its members if it exceeds 50. The next difference is about the managerial remuneration. In the case of private company, no restriction on managerial remuneration. But in the case of public company, total managerial remuneration cannot exceed 11% of the net profit. The next difference is about statutory meeting. During the time of formation and functioning, the companies have to hold statutory meetings or file statutory reports with the registrar of companies. In the case of private company, it is not required to hold a statutory meeting or file statutory reports with the registrar of a company. But in the case of public company, it is required to hold a statutory meeting and file statutory reports with the registrar of a company. Next difference is about the written consent of directors. In the case of private company, the director is not required to file a written consent to act as a director. But in the case of public company, director must file a written consent to act as a director with the registrar of companies. The next difference is about increase in the number of directors. The number of directors may be increased to any extent without the permission of central government in the case of a private company. But in the case of public company, the number of directors cannot be increased without the permission of the central government. Next difference is about the addition to the name. In the case of private company with limited liability must add the word private limited at the end of its name. In the case of public company with limited liability must add the word limited at the end of its name. Students, these are all the major differences between private company and public company. This is an important question frequently asking in the university examination, so please take care of this portion.
Okay students, this is all for this session. Post the assignment before 5th July 2020. Stay safe at home. Thank you.